Good evening and welcome to the December 12th meeting of the Aiken City Council. Tonight we'll start with our invocation and pledge. Our invocation will be given by Gene Hart, followed by our pledge by Officer Brown. So Gene, if you would, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we just want to thank you. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to gather here tonight. Dear Lord, to gather in freedom. Dear Lord, to make decisions, dear Lord, that will impact so many people. Dear Lord, we pray for guidance, understanding. Dear Lord, we pray that you'll give us clear minds to make good decisions on the behalf of all. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Gene. We'll ask Officer Brown if he'll come up and lead us in our pledge. Good evening.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We certainly appreciate everyone being with us tonight. I'd like to go over the guidelines of our meeting at this time. Our meetings are public forums in which many opinions are expressed and the business of the city must be conducted. As such, disciplined, honorable, and professional decorum is paramount. Courteous and respectful communication is expected. During public hearings, all questions and statements from the public shall be directed to the chair. If you wish to speak, raise your hand and I will certainly recognize you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address. In order to allow an opportunity for everyone who wishes to address council, speakers should limit their comments to the subject being discussed. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to address an issue and may only address an issue once unless questions from council are posed to the speaker. And with that, I'll recognize our Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Ebner, for additions or deletions to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does anyone on City Council have any additions or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the agenda as issued.
Thank you, Councilman Ebner. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you, sir. The minutes were distributed to council prior to the meeting. Everyone's had a chance to look them over. Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes?
I so move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or changes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the minutes as presented? And that passes unanimously. Thank you. We have one presentation tonight, and I'll recognize City Manager Clem to tell us about the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Aiken has received the Government Finance Officers Association Budget Award. We have a representative from the Government Finance Officers Association this evening to make a presentation to you as well as our finance staff. City Council authorized the redesigning of the city budget last year, and you made it one of your highest priorities. The city staff team members led by Kim Abney, our finance director, worked very hard in designing and gathering information for the new budget format. The budget was submitted to the GFOA for review and critique, and the City of Aiken received the budget award on our first submittal. In South Carolina, Aiken is the 10th municipality out of 269 to be awarded this distinction. Less than 4% of South Carolina municipalities and less than 2% of all local governments in the United States earn the Distinguished Budget Award. Staff is to be commended for its work in obtaining this outstanding budget award for the city. And as I said, Mr. Mayor, we have a presentation to make to you on behalf of the entire council from representatives of the GFOA.
Okay, and we'll ask
Angela
to come up at this time. Thank you for being with us tonight.
My name's Angela Gunner, and I'm a former board member with the Government Finance Officers Association of South Carolina. And I'm here on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada to present the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the City of Aiken for its budget for the year beginning July 1st, 2016. The city's budget has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the GFOA program, including 14 mandatory criteria within 4 broad categories. The guidelines are designed to assess how well An entity's budget serves as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communication device. The completely redesigned budget replaces the model that the city has since 1955. Collaboration across all the departments, as Mr. Clem said, and this was their very first time to submit for this, and they got it on the first time they submitted. So I'm honored to present the City of Aiken this prestigious award for their hard work and diligence.
We'll come down. And I'm going to ask Angela and, ask Summer and Kim to come down with me on this. Well, you better give the camera to somebody. Angela, thank you for this. We did a press conference earlier about this, but this really speaks to the dedication of our staff and, of course, the direction of council. I'm going to tell you, a lot of the council members, we asked staff if they could present us with a budget. It was a different format, more usable, and the budget is how council makes our, how we basically not set policy, but how we prioritize. It's through that process. And I'm going to tell you, I think the staff just hit a home run with this budget, and I know they're continually working for the one already next year, so we're excited about this. Thank you for being here with us. Let's step to this side of it so we don't have a podium in front of it. Son, come on. Come on. You're a part of the team. All right.
Tries to orchestrate this.
On behalf of the city, we gladly take this from you. Thank you very much.
And while you're working back, Mr. Mayor, I want to endorse what you said. This is an excellent opportunity to thank our staff for the hard work, and it involved every department within the city. Everybody had a role in preparing that budget, obviously led by our finance director and her staff, but it's just it's a long way, and to come that so far so quickly, I just thank all of you. It was a great achievement for the city.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving down the agenda. So number 3, this is old business and for further consideration of. Number 1 is approval of appointments and discussion of appointees to various city boards, commissions, and committees. I'll recognize City Manager John Clem.
Mr. Mayor, the council has 22 pending appointments to fill vacancies on our various city boards, commissions, and committees. 6 appointments are presented for council's consideration and vote at the meeting tonight. Councilman Ebner has recommended the reappointment of Jack Hunter to the Planning Commission. If reappointed, Mr. Hunter's term would expire on December 1st, 2018. Councilman Dewar has recommended the reappointment of Robert Besley to the Planning Commission. If reappointed, Mr. Besley's term would expire December 1st, 2018. Councilman Homoki has recommended the reappointment of Kent Cubbage to the Planning Commission. If reappointed, Mr. Cubbage's term would expire December 1st, 2018. He has also recommended the appointment of Andrea Gregory to the Arts Commission to fill the unexpired position of Sharon Brown. If appointed, Ms. Gregory's term would expire April 11, 2017. She would be eligible for reappointment upon approval of the City Council. Councilman Homoki has also recommended the reappointment of Trudy Boyd to the Community Development Committee. If reappointed, Ms. Boyd's term would expire September 2, 2018. And Councilwoman Price has recommended the reappointment of Joanne Saunders to the Arts Commission with the term to expire April 11, 2018. For council consideration is the reappointment of Jack Hunter, Robert Besley, Kent Cubbage to the Planning Commission, the reappointment of Trudy Boyd to the Community Development Committee, the reappointment of Joanne Saunders to the Arts Commission, and the reappointment of Andrea Gregory to the Arts Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Clem.
I so move.
Okay, we have a motion for the reappointment,
Second, Mr. Mayor.
and we have a second. All those in favor of the appointments and reappointments? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving down to item number 4, new business.
I have additional.
Oh, excuse me, absolutely. Are there any considerations for next?
Go ahead, Councilman.
Hold on. Reappoint Don Broderick to the Design Review Board.
And Mr. Mayor, for the Design Review Board Commission, I'm reappointing Felice Cummings.
Any other appointments for consideration at our next meeting?
I reappoint Ben Lott for the Design Review Board.
Thank you. All right, those names will be considered. Thank you very much. Now, moving down to new business. Number one, this is a first reading of an ordinance to annex property at 1212 Whiskey Road, zone it planned commercial, and approve the concept plan. By title, an ordinance to annex to the corporate limits of the city of Aiken certain property consisting of .402 acres of land, more or less, owned by Marketplace Art LLC and located at 1212 Whiskey Road, and to zone the same planned commercial PC. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Comments from staff?
Mr. Mayor, the Planning Commission at their meeting on November 15, 2016, considered a request by Marketplace LLC for annexation of 1212 Whiskey Road. The request, general business zoning for the property, but the Planning Commission at the November 15th meeting recommended that the applicant rezone the property to planned commercial and submit a concept plan for approval by City Council after review and recommendation by the Planning Director. Several years ago, City Council adopted a policy that all annexations along the Whiskey Road corridor would be zoned planned commercial or planned residential. In the past, the property at 1212 Whiskey Road has been used as a convenience store, but has been vacant for some time. The applicant intends to rehabilitate the property, repair the roof, replace the gas station canopy with a more attractive facade, and extensively renovate the interior for lease as retail, commercial, or office uses. The applicant intends to have 2 tenant spaces of approximately 1,800 to 2,000 square feet each. If annexed, the structured access, parking, and landscape would be non-conforming. Section 8.1.5C of the zoning ordinance allows alterations or additions to a structure, provided the alterations or additions do not increase the nonconformity of the building or structure to the building setback line, height limitations, yard, or other provisions regulating the size and placement of buildings and structures for the district in which the nonconforming building or structure is located. After review, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the application with the following conditions to be met prior to the annexation becoming effective, as stated in our agenda. For City Council consideration is first reading of an ordinance to annex property at 1212 Whiskey Road, zoned it planned commercial, and approve the concept plan contingent upon the conditions recommended by the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Clume. Any comments from the audience? Comments or questions from council?
I'd like to know if the owner has any idea who his 2 tenants would be.
Mr. Huskell, would you mind stepping forward?
What would be?
His 2 tenants. He's got 2 of them. Glad to see something being done to that building.
Good evening,
An
Tom.
eyesore for a long time.
Hi, my name's Tom Muskup. I'm resident of Aiken at 420 Hillcrest Road, and I'm the owner of Marketplace Art and the 1212 Whiskey Road, ex-Whiskey Junction. We don't really have any full knowledge, but the primary intent is to relocate our paint store over to that location, the Benjamin Moore business that we started about a year and a half ago. And I have a couple of other businesses, and the intent probably is to have the other space be for our own businesses. So.
I want to thank you for doing this project, Tom. This is not the prettiest piece of property on Whiskey Road, so I thank you for doing it. I really do, and I hope staff supports you in every way.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding the side of the building, if I'm facing it, in the back and the side. Is that a storage area? I saw a truck. You've got some greenery on the side of your building, and I didn't know whether that was a storage in the back for trucks at that location. Am I confusing your property for someone else's property next door?
Yeah.
Between the two buildings.
Okay,
You're thinking about Frankie Thomas's place. I think.
okay.
The property behind us
Yes.
is the Manfredi property, the old Wisteria Manor.
Okay.
Or not, I mean, it's old, and it is the Wisteria Manor.
Okay,
And then there is a hutch attached to the building that was used as an entrance for the old bar, and we plan to remove that little
Okay, that's
hutch
what I'm-
block add-on and just make a delivery doorway there. So, we cleaned up quite a bit of jungle that was
Right.
behind the building, and it's quite different now back there.
okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I can. Hey, Tom, question, I'm sure you've reviewed the recommendations from Planning Commission. Do you have any concerns with those recommendations? And specifically, on item 1, where it references working out a shared driveway or having no more than 2 entrances, is that something you've figured out? Is that something that works for you?
Well, we've devised a plan that we've submitted to SCDOT so far, and we're waiting to hear back from them. But if we had to meet the full requirements, then yeah, it would be burdensome and cost prohibitive.
The
We
full
wouldn't be able to-
requirements of the Planning Commission or the full requirements of SCDOT?
SCDOT.
Okay.
So, but we're trying to see if we can meet them, in a fashion. We're definitely interested in emphasizing safety. We're definitely trying to define the front access a little bit more clearly. At the moment, it's a little bit of a open apron for a long distance, and that's definitely something we're trying to address, yes.
But subject to whatever SCDOT says, you understand and are okay with the recommendations from the Planning Commission then, in that regard? Yes, that's what you're looking at. Good.
I got a couple of things. First, this is in the county now, and you've been working on it, so I assume the second reading wouldn't be until January 9th. Does that hold up any of your plans or anything, or you keep on doing your renovations and so forth?
It's not going to hold us up, no, sir. We are planning to work through the county first, and we've sought a building permit from them. And according to Mr. Jordan here in the city, he just indicated that they would like to monitor the process and stay close to what, the county's approval proceedings and so forth, so we can continue to move forward. The principal reason that we're seeking the annexation is to obtain the city sewer service, in which we have permission from the neighboring property, utility easement to access the sewer at its closest point.
Okay. The other thing, follow up on what Mr. Mary commented on item 1. When Fresh Market came in, we had some same stipulations in that ordinance, but the state overruled it and left it as it was. There was Planning Commission recommended some islands into that. So I think what we have to be sure is that SCDOT is going to rule whichever way they want to rule, and that would override the city. So I just want to be sure we look at it that way. It'd be nice to fix it up however the city would like it, but SCDOT seems to have different plans than we
Are you
do.
suggesting that CDOT doesn't do what we ask them to do?
Oh, I know they don't. So, and Fresh Market and Mitchell Shopping Center is a good case in point that multiple entries were there. We asked they be closed, nothing changed. So I think here, him applying, he has to apply for it from his business aspect. And so I want to be sure that, that cannot be blocked by the city, whatever SCDOT decides.
That's right.
And this has been in existence since, I think you said, the early 50s. So
1958.
it's got some historical background behind it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Escott. Appreciate you coming up.
All right, thank you.
First reading. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving down to number 2. This is first reading of an ordinance to approve repurposing and allocation of CPST funds by title and ordinance to repurpose the use of funds from the capital project sales tax. Is there a motion? All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Comments from staff?
Mr. Mayor, you will recall that we had this conversation with the entire council at a work session recently, and the agenda item contains a recommendation from our staff about how to transfer some funds that are left over from completed projects to other priorities. They are contained in the agenda item before you. The below projects that are completed contain fund balances, the Citizens Park Fence and Canopy Project, the Northside Neighborhood Renewal Project, and the Citizens Park Walking Trails. There is a recommendation from staff that those funds be transferred into the light curb, sidewalk, and landscaping project, and also that funding that heretofore was targeted for a new fire station be reallocated to the new headquarters project. We do have staff here to answer any additional questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clem. Any comments from the audience? Comments or questions from council? All right, all those in favor, first reading? Mr. Mary, Ms. Price, Councilman Homoki, Ms. Diggs, Mr. Ebner, and the mayor for. All those opposed? Councilman DeWar. That passes. Number 3 under new business. This is approval of the Aiken City Court jury box for 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments from staff?
Mr. Mayor, our city clerk has prepared a jury box which under state law must be submitted to the city council for approval. Under the council manager city government model, city councilors act as jury commissioners for our city court. Each year, council must approve the preparation of the names for our jury box. For city council consideration is approval of the 2017 city court jury box.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clem. Any comments from the audience? Comments from staff? Comments from council, excuse me. Hearing none. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving to the item petitions and requests on our agenda. Item number 1, this is a request to spend capital project sales tax 2 money for a stormwater consultant to recommend potential solutions for erosion control and stormwater drainage in Hitchcock Woods. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Comments from staff?
Mr. Mayor, through your leadership and the leadership of the entire council, we recently formed a Hitchcock Woods Stormwater Task Force in June of this year to come up with potential solutions for stormwater discharge into Hitchcock Woods. The task force consisted of members of our city council, the Hitchcock Woods Foundation, and citizens at large. The task force unanimously agreed that another study was not needed, but rather a tangible solution to mitigate some of the stormwater discharge into Hitchcock Woods, specifically from the Sand River Basin. At Council's approval, the task force released a request for qualifications document in September of 2016 and interviewed several firms last month. Tonight, the task force recommends Council enter a contract with McCormick Taylor, a firm headquartered in Philadelphia, but with offices in Columbia and Charleston, be hired and tasked with evaluating options and recommending a solution for stormwater discharge. That contract, which will be for 3 years and not to exceed $500,000, will have McCormick Taylor address the following items. The outcome being sought by the City of Aiken and the Hitchcock Woods Foundation is the cessation of destruction and erosion to its property caused by the stormwater flow. The contract is to provide project management and technical support to develop and implement various water resources projects and solutions to reduce the volume and velocity of stormwater discharges into Hitchcock Woods, with primary focus on the Sand River watershed. to conduct technical evaluations to support planning and design related to stormwater best management practices and other related project concepts, to conduct as well as oversee field investigations, stormwater sampling, and stream flow monitoring, to perform and evaluate technical analysis, including hydrologic and hydraulic modeling, statistical analysis, water quality investigations, GIS mapping, and data management using the previous studies contracted by the city, to prepare and review technical memoranda, report, and electronic deliverables, to supervise and coordinate the work on projects to ensure proper and timely execution of the projects, to successfully manage and deliver projects on time and on budget, and as stated in the agenda item before you. I do know that we have members of the task force. On behalf of all of our staff, and I'm sure on behalf of this council, we want to thank the dedicated members representing the Hitchcock Woods and also our citizens at large. I know that they've worked long and hard on this project. This is obviously a very positive step moving forward in unison with a variety of interests to try to come to closure on an issue that I know that has been vexing and perplexing for many, many years in this city. So having said that, we do have staff present to answer any questions you have, and we have members from the task force. I certainly don't speak for them if they would like to answer any questions that you may have as well.
Thank you, Mr. Clem. Could I ask the members of the task force to please stand? I want to thank you for serving for us. Thank you so much. And also on that, Councilman Hamoki and Councilman Ebner. So we appreciate the work you've been putting in. I know as I get results back, I see your meeting quite often, and hopefully we're making progress. Appreciate you being here tonight also. Are there any comments from the audience on this at this time? Okay. Comments or questions from council?
Not off.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, ladies first.
Who is the staff person that is assigned to this?
Stuart
is
as
the
well as
person?
George.
Okay.
Stuart and George.
Stuart and George, okay.
I wanted to simply make a comment. This might easily be interpreted by some folks as just another study, just another consultant, just another shelf, but I don't think anybody that's closely involved with this really sees it that way. I think everybody realizes and recognizes this is really about developing an actual solution, such that that's possible. And so, I commend the work of the task force and my fellow council members that have been working on this. This may be quite a bit overdue to be doing this, but this really is meant to advance the ball, and it's not just another study on a shelf. So thank you guys, thank all of you on council and the rest of the task force.
I would agree. It's a major step forward, and I'm especially pleased in the fact that there's going to be an effort to determine the origin of the water so that we can allocate properly the responsibility for dealing with this, because it's not just the city. We probably got the bulk of it, but it's not. We don't have all of it. So I'm delighted. I thank members of the workforce, and I hope we have the success that we expect.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor of this request? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Then request number 2, this is City Council meeting schedule for December 2016 and schedule for 2017. Comments from staff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Each year, the council needs to set a schedule for city council meetings for the next calendar year. So we've attached a proposed list of city council meetings in 2017. As you know, I think it's traditional that we have one meeting in December, so we've already recommended to you that we have just this meeting tonight so that members of the council can enjoy the holidays with their families, and I know that some will be traveling as well. So we've listed a proposed meeting list for the next calendar year for your consideration.
Thank you. I'm assuming past we can put this on our webpage, so it'll be available to the citizens. Good. All right, comments from the audience? Comments from council?
Did you need a motion or anything?
I
think-
so move
Yeah, did we not have one?
No, but
that we
I'll second
accept it.
Gail's motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Thank you. Comments from the audience? Comments from council?
Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm
All
already
all
ready to
those in
vote.
favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Appreciate it, Councilman Mary. Moving down to information, under issues and updates, we had one update that we were asked for. I'll recognize staff at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the last meeting, Council Member Dwyer asked for an update on the status of the alley. As you know, for some time, there has been a community discussion. We have closed the alley on a temporary basis, and most of the feedback that we've received at City Hall, and I also have been told that I can speak for the Aiken Downtown Development Association representing the business community, is that it has been highly advantageous to have it a pedestrian way as opposed to a road for automobiles. But to discontinue a way over any extended period of time, there's a legal process that needs to take place. So I would like to separate this presentation into two parts. First of all, I've asked City Attorney Smith to indicate to us what the legal issues and parameters are involved with this. And then I'm going to ask John McMichael, our Business Vitality Manager, to update us, because there's a lot going on in working with the property owners and the like, so he'll give you an update as well. So, Mr. Smith.
All right.
Thank you, sir. State law does allow city council to close a road located within the city. And as I'm saying close the road, what I'm really saying is close this road to vehicular traffic, because you're not really actually closing the entire road, you're just closing it to vehicular traffic. But state law does require you to go through a few steps, the most important of which is the city must pay any damages that may be claimed by any landowner through whose premises the street may run. And it's my understanding that, and John can give you a better idea of what's going on in that regard, that essentially the property owners aren't claiming any damages. So that's good for us. But the first thing the city just needs to do is to make sure that we have the area of the road outlined, and that all of the property owners who adjoin the alleyway that we're planning to close are known. We do that with a title search. And once the title search is complete, we would then prepare a waiver form that each of the property owners would sign, where they agree to waive any damages that they may have as a result of this closure, and that waiver would be binding on their heirs, successors, and assigns, so this wouldn't come up again in the future. Once we have that waiver, those waivers would be recorded at the RMC office. At that point, an ordinance would come before council. You would have two readings, and then council would be asked whether or not you wish to approve to vote to close the alley to vehicular traffic. It's a fairly simple process. It'll probably take us a month or two to get all of the signatures that we need to bring this back to you, but it's a fairly straightforward process.
All right, thank you.
If there's an assertion made by any property owner that, you know, there is an impact of them.
It's done in accordance with the Eminent Domain Procedure Act or the Condemnation Act, where that particular, those damages would be appraised, and the city would have to decide whether you're willing to pay the money to do that or just leave the road open. Those would be your options.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
In the interim, if we put up those posts and people cannot enter physically, isn't that just like putting down a cone? You know, we have the right to regulate traffic, et cetera, et cetera. Can't we just do that?
If it becomes a closure of a permanent nature, then the city has to vote to do what they're doing.
Okay. Well, I figured we could move them 3 o'clock in the
City has I don't think a judge would let you get cute with what that closure looks like. If you're closed during business hours, I think a judge is going to see that that's closed.
All right. Good evening, John. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I get to follow through with the promise I made to a couple that I met in the alley about 3 weeks ago. They were new to Aiken, and they just loved the alley, and asked me about the history and how it happened, and they said, if I had the chance and I said, maybe one day I will, to address the council and let them know just how much they appreciate it and how much they appreciate the forward-thinkingness of our council to provide this alley and the things that it brings to the downtown area. Just as maybe some people don't know, and for our viewers that do tune in, this whole process started in 2014 in June when staff brought before the council a presentation for the alley process. Then we started in earnest in January the 15th when the utilities were placed underground, and then we went from there to consultants, and then the bid was actually awarded to complete the operation in the alley in July the 15th of 2015, and then the work started in earnest in September of 2015. Now, we completed, for the most part, the work in July the 16th of 2016, and then we actually had the final part of it, and I spoke to somebody last week when it was going up. The arches went up last Wednesday and last Thursday on both ends of the alley, and they said the two comments were they loved the fact that the arches had identified it as the alley, and they thought that was a neat thing, and also the fact that they said that it just kind of framed it and made it totally complete. They said that it brought a completion to the alley and made it really look that much more aesthetically nice. So it's a great thing that we have in the community. We have met, ADDA and I, Avery Spears Mahoney and I, met with the owners and also the operators of most of the businesses, all but one, in the alley, and we got overwhelming support from them. There were a few minor things that we had to work through with them. We're meeting tomorrow with Avery and also with members of the different city departments that have interaction with the alley so that we can, number one, clean up any little things that we have that may be outstanding, and also to get a path forward so that we can come back to council early next year with a recommendation and carry forward with our city attorney's recommendations. So that's our recommendation for now, that we will go forward. And our city manager indicated that ADDA said that they had overwhelming support. I did check with the chamber again today, and they said they have not had one comment that was of a negative nature about the alley. So that's another plus.
The chamber doesn't read talk back.
Yes.
I would just simply, for those who haven't seen them, our friends at the Aiken Standard have got some amazing, beautiful pictures of the alley, all decorated for Christmas, particularly at nighttime, and they've had them on their website and other places. It's with all the Christmas decorations and the trees, the crepe myrtles, everything they put in there, it really looks amazing, and it's a postcard for the city.
It is. So. A city is reflective of the different destinations within the city. We have beautiful Hitchcock Woods, as we all know, South Boundary and other areas, Hopeland Gardens, and now we can add the alley to that as one of our postcard presences in the city.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McMichaels. Appreciate you.
I also, since it's in my district, I also conducted my one-man survey, and I found total support for keeping the vehicles out of there.
Good. Good to hear. All right. Any other comment? Very good. Any other updates or congratulations to be given out, Gil?
Well, I was just going to mention that at our last council meeting, we recognized Felicia Tucker as the finalist in the semi-finalist for the
finalist at that point,
Wendy's Heisman Trophy Award for high school students. And if most of you hadn't heard, she won. It was on ESPN on Friday night, and so she made Aiken proud. She brought the award home. She received a $10,000 scholarship as well as a $500 gift card from Wendy's. So I guess somebody's going to be eating a lot of hamburgers.
I'll echo something that I read online about Felicia, because she's such an amazingly accomplished young lady. She's much more than an athlete. But one of the things I read online, and I really had to give it credit, it was that Aiken was already proud of her. It's just
Exactly.
everybody else is figuring it out. As far as other accomplishments, I'd like to offer the congratulations to a fantastic, phenomenal football season for the South Aiken Thoroughbreds.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
shame that it ended when it did, but boy, how proud are we of those guys.
We have representatives here from the football team?
We have somebody who's probably going to be feeding the quarterback when he...
Yeah, exactly. Who said the prayer for us tonight? I cannot resist the temptation after giving accolades to the Citadel Bulldogs a few weeks ago for winning the Southern Conference and going almost undefeated, losing only to UNC Tar Heels. They met the Wofford Terriers again, and the outcome
Can't beat you twice in 1 year.
the outcome was good.
Well, I guess I can't brag about a football season, but how about those Gamecocks basketball?
Oh, yeah,
Girls
yeah.
and boys teams.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to say this, since we're talking athletics, USC Aiken volleyball team.
Yeah, that's it.
Terrific
We got a lot to be
job.
proud of.
And I'd like
Went to South Dakota, so-
congratulate Leslie. Leslie is a grandmother. So,
I'm grandmother.
and I see grandfather sitting out in the audience, Mr. Price.
And
Would you stand up for us, please?
he said no.
no. So this is their first-time grandparents.
Leslie will be showing pictures after the meeting, too.
Well, point of privilege, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, William, this is probably his third or fourth time in 30 years in these chambers, and he came as a result of my expressing a need about the grandbaby, find out what was so urgent.
Let me just say on behalf of council and your city to everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We hope everybody has a safe holiday and spends it with family. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please stand up. We're adjourned.